going on, guys? It's Yuki Bros, and today I got a video from a deck that I finally topped a Genesys event with, and I went undefeated, and we played Dragonmaids. Now, the event wasn't huge, but still local event, and you know, after not having success for a couple weeks in a row, I went with this simply because I was on a crunch with my work schedule this past weekend, and I wanted something easy that I kind of knew already how to play, and I owned all these cards already. So we played Dragonmaid. So I'm gonna go over the list. If you guys want like extensive combos and stuff, I can go through that in a separate video. This one's just gonna be strictly the list and our choices on some cards. So it's triple chamber, because this is the spell trap searcher, triple parlor because it's the foolish, triple kitchen because it's the ad, and one nurse. And I elected to actually not play the big one that goes with this. I'll get into that in a second. So for the big ones, it's 2 Kembra. I know that's not how you pronounce it. That's just how I've been pronouncing it because I don't know how to pronounce it. This is the new Dragonmaid. It's the new dragon form of chamber. This is also a monster born from grave or banish, which is kind of nuts. And I like 2. I know people are on either 1 or 3. I think both are incorrect. 3's too many, but 1's not enough, especially if you need to hospitality 1 and then banish it for your lady play. It's always nice to have a second one in rotation. And then I played the 1 low part and the 1 tinket. I didn't play the what's it called? Norardal or whatever, the pink one, because I didn't really find a reason for it. Now I have since messed with this deck a bit more, and have a newer version of this, which if you guys want to see also as well, I can post that in a separate video, and that one actually is playing the pink big one. And then for the Fusion Engine, we played 1 Dark End Evaporation and 3 Light End Sublimation Dragon, simply because I couldn't find more of these, which I know is a sad reason. If I was to play 4 of them, I think I'd go 2 and 2 just for the simplicity of like making sure that they're always live, especially if you open multiple. But going forward, I actually like Light End better than Dark End simply because it's a light dragon. That's a level 8, and there's a combo in this deck where you banish Chaos Star Source Dragon to summon this if you have a chamber out, and then this turns chamber into a level 8, and you can either make a rank 8 like that, or you can make this dumb card, which I wasn't playing in this list, but I definitely will try it in the next one. Because it takes a level 8 light dragon and a level 8 dark dragon, so you can use your chamber that was adjusted and your light and subliminal to make light and darkness dragon lord. Keep in mind this is 20 points in Genesys, so if you don't have the points to pay for it, then don't play it. But that's what makes this card better than this card. Otherwise, Dark End is better simply because he also is an out to things, but you can only use one of his 2 effects per turn. So if you do use its effect to blank a monster on the field, you can't fuse, and vice versa. And then we played the Full Metal package. We played 2 of this and the 1 Max Metamorph, simply because I couldn't find a 3rd one. Otherwise, I was going to play 3 in 1. I have since moved this to the side deck because it is really good going first, but very hit and miss going second, depending on what your opponent puts up for a board. So I do think this card is really cool, and it's really strong in Genesys, I think, to end on Omni Negates. And considering your deck already does end on an Omni and Xiao, if you can end on a turn of 2 Omni Negates, or going into the opponent end up having on 2 Omni Negates before they get to play, it's really strong in this type of a format. So I don't know, I think this card's cool, but it's definitely like more side deck material than main. And then triple drone lock, because for some reason this card is still 5 points. Shouldn't be, but is, and because it is, I will tell you this was the MVP, won a lot of my games. This deck also can play into drone lock. You search usually once. If you're searching a second time, it's because you haven't resolved the kitchen. Usually you just chamber for hospitality, and then you're never searching again. But if you kitchen sometimes to add / dump the same thing you added, that technically is adding, right? So like, but you're never really playing into Droll and Lockbird. So the deck can play through Droll and Lockbird, and then also, like, if you had to Droll while it was still your turn, like if they foo it or something, you can still play through your Droll no problem, which is kind of crazy. And that's the only hand trap in the main deck. So then for spells, it's 1 changeover, you only need 1, you search it, bounces back to your hand from grave, it's really strong for that reason. Triple Hospitality. This card is now a 1-card starter because Lady exists, which I'll get to in a second, but this card has like single-handedly become the deck. So this is a 1-card Lady, technically a 2-card. You do need something to summon with it for then it to perform the action of sending the other appropriate monster to the grave to then summon Lady. But it's like a 1.5 card starter, which is cool for that reason. And then we played the MVP of the Spell and Traps, Book of Eclipse. I don't know, this card being at 5 points really baffles me, especially when Book of Moon is at 7, whereas this can just blank the whole board for a turn. If I set this and like put up a Xiao and maybe one other point of interaction, in a lot of Genesis games, that's just their turn. Because you have your Omni for whatever potential card is a problem, you have your other out for their other card, their other big play, and then this automatically makes it so you know you're going back to your next turn. Unless they're on a fusion deck, in which case they can fuse face down, and then it's a little trickier, but most of the people currently aren't really on huge fusion decks, so this card puts in so much work. In addition to that, we played 2 Book of Lunar Eclipse. I got this off a couple lists online. The reason I actually won't go forward with this card is because I do not like the discard. A lot of the time in this deck, I've found that you don't really have a hand going into your opponent's turn, and if you do, it's like Droll and Lockbird, and you don't want to pitch that, obviously. So Lunar, while it's good, it's not amazing. I think there are just better cards, so I'll be cutting this in the future. It did win me a game, so I'm not going to hate on the card, and I do understand its applications in Genesis format in general, but I don't know, I don't think you need it. And we played Triple Econ. You do put up a lot of little bodies over time between the standby phase effect of Xiao and House that you can, if you're not bouncing them for their effects, you can just tribute off, take control of an opponent's monster, and do a lot of things with. Now, obviously, links don't exist, so you're not just linking their stuff off. You're using this to try to OTK, or if you're going turn 1, sometimes the switch to defense mode effect does come up simply just because you don't want your card to die. But this card is good going first and second, and that's why it's in the main deck. Going forward in the newer list, I think I can cut it down to 2. There's a lot of other things going on in the deck in the future version, which again, if you guys want to see it, I'll post it to the channel. But it's still a really strong card nonetheless. And then we played Triple Cosmic. I meant to only main 2 of these, but I couldn't find the third Full Metal like I was going to play in the main, like I said, last second. So I threw in a third Cosmic. That's why it's a different rarity. It bothers me so much. But this wasn't actually bad. There's a lot of things going around in Genesis right now, and the format's very open, so like, Spell and Trap Hate's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, and Banishing it's even better. Again, I'm not going to go with 3 of these in the main in the future, but it definitely didn't hurt, is what I'm going to say. And then the 1 Tidying. This is 10 points, so unfortunately, we can only play 1, or only fit 1, I should say. I'll get to my numbers in a second, but let me just go into the extra deck first. 1 Xiao, this is the Omni Negate that tags into House once it negates a card. 2 House for that reason. Xiao's 20 points, most Omnis in this game are for Genesis. This is 0 though, so we play double of it. And then we have Lady Dragonmaid, which is also 20 points. I don't understand why it's 20 points when it doesn't negate, but it is the entire deck technically. So I guess I see what they're going for here. This card simply is summoned by banishing 2 Dragonmaids, 1 from your field and 1 from your graveyard, with the same attribute but different levels. So essentially any of these that match, and that's why we do play the pink one going forward, because it's just like, well, if you have it, you have it. So if this is here and this is in the grave, or vice versa, you banish both and then you special summon this. And then if this is special summoned, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Dragonmaid straight from your deck to the field, which facilitates so much in this deck. It fixes empty combos, it fixes issues where, like, let's say you open one of the big ones and that's it, but you have Hospitality, so you then Hospitality the big one out, dump the small one, banish both, summon this, effect of this, summon the one you need to then get your combo rolling, so to speak. So, like, the card is really, really strong, and it must first be special summoned that way, so you can bring it back on later turns. It is a level 8, so you can bring it back off of cards, all the Dragonmaids that aren't Nurse. If you're just going to the battle phase, they all tag for an 8, 7 or higher, and you just bounce them, and then you could summon this back, which is crazy, but a lot of the times you'll end up fusing this through its standby phase effect, and its standby phase effect is so good. So in the standby phase, both players, by the way, you can fuse into a dragon fusion monster using materials from your field and banishment, or banishment. So think about it. If you're banishing 2 things to summon it, let's say these 2, for example, to summon it, and then going into the standby fuse, you use its effect to fuse, you can shuffle these 2 back to make the Xiao immediately, And then what's even crazier is that if you have any other Dragon Maids anywhere, hand or grave, Xiao can then summon because you're still in the standby phase. And most of the time you'll have the second Kembra in the grave to bring back, and the Kembra's on-field effect prevents your fusion monsters from being destroyed by card effects, which is crazy. Like, it's just crazy that you can get so much advantage off of just this card. And that's, you know, just the breaking point of the deck. There's so much more you can do with this deck. So it's those 4 monsters. Now, the issue, I would definitely play 2 of this card if it wasn't 20 points, unfortunately, because it's 20 points, and this is 20 points, and the trap is 10 points, and I'll get into the rest of the points in a second. It just makes it so that, unfortunately, you can't play more than one of each of these. Xiao, I don't feel like you need multiples of, because he throws himself back into the extra deck after he negates. Lady's the one where I would love to have 2 of this, but unfortunately it is what it is. So beyond those, we play the one Philia Regis, which is essentially just a Dragon Maid with extra steps. It's not Dragon Maid by name, but its fusion materials is a Dragon Fusion monster and a level 7 or higher Dragon monster. So a lot of the times, if you're off the Lady, and you're, let's say you've used your light end or dark end to fuse, to summon to the field first, you banish a dark dragon, right? So a lot of the times it's Chaos Star Source, for example. So going into the standby phase, if you've already put up a Xiao, you can go Lady Effect, throw back the Chaos Star Source that's banished, and the level 7 or higher Dragon Maid equivalent that you banished to summon Lady to make this for free. And then Phileas' effect on field says during the main phase, so it's either or. Quick effect, you target one card your opponent controls or in their grave, banish it, and then if the card you banished was on the field, you return a dragon you control to the hand, which then triggers House if it's already up, because you bounced a dragon. Theoretically, you're bouncing a Dragon Maid, so then you trigger House's effect because you just bounced a dragon to then pop a card. So it's like a Dragon Maid with extra steps, and the reason it's also a quote-unquote Dragon Maid, or at least people like to call it that, is because it says in the grave at the start of the opponent's battle phase, if this card is in the grave, you can return a dragon you control to the hand or extra deck, and if you do, special summon this card. So again, you could trigger House by bouncing a different Dragon Maid to your hand and then pop another card on the field. So the card's really cool for that reason. And then, like I said, 2 Chaos Star Stars, not just 1. We're on 2 because, well, a lot of the time, 1, you'll banish 1 off of this, either one of these, and while you do tend to get it back by shuffling it back with Ladies, sometimes it's good to have the backup card in rotation just in case. Please, somebody find me another super. I hate this. But the card's really good just in general, and it's super easy to make in this deck. Then we play 1 Borrowed Furious Dragon because we do play darks in the form of these. And sometimes, depending on what's on the field, somehow this card is dark, even though it clearly looks light. So you have other options as well. This card's just really strong. I almost cut it, not realizing its full potential until I played. But Furious can get in there for a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, you don't get its link effect because there's no links in this game, but that's fine. You don't need that. Then we played. So here's where the extra gets wonky. Like I said, I needed something that was quick and easy to mess with, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to put stuff together. So the rest of the extra deck is either XYZs that we can potentially make, or Ultimate Slayer targets. And the Ultimate Slayer targets are Aggregator and Malong. However, you could theoretically make Aggregator because it's 2+ level 9s, which you do play in this deck through, you do have House, you have Kembra as well, so like it can theoretically be made, but these are mostly just for Slayer. The one extra deck card I will say I did make and did win me a game is Felgrand. Because you do put a lot of 8s on the field, so you can make Felgrand. We also play Ding as a way to out things, but Felgrand negating a card on my opponent's field was really clutch against K9, I think it was. K9, or not K9, was it K9? Vanquish Soul. It might have been the K9 Vanquish Soul variant, but Felgrand put in work in that matchup. And then we played Tornado, Exciton, and Levier because theoretically all 3 of these could be made. The new version doesn't support any of these because you're not. There's no realistic time where these are actually happening. But you can, in theory, right? And like Levier could come up because you have like Kitchen and Parlor, for example. You banished for Lady, a small one. Let's say you shuffled back, like I said, for the Philia Regis, so you still have the low one that you can bring back left, Levier. The idea is there, but they didn't come up. They didn't have to. It didn't matter. And then for the side deck, we played 2 Crow, which I'm on the fence about playing this in the future. Card's good, but it's a low impact card. And the matchups where I feel like it does work, you should be winning those matchups anyways. And in the matchups where like it's really, really strong, I don't think Crow by itself is enough. So I do like this card in the format as a free hand trap. That and Skullmeister, I should say. They both facilitate enough of where like they're too low impact to quote unquote matter in some matchups, but they're really, really strong in others. So I do like the card. But I don't know if I'll be playing it in the future just for that simple fact that, like, I should be winning the games where this would dominate anyways, and in the matchups where it doesn't, I'd rather it be something stronger. Speaking of something stronger, Triple Dark Ruler no more and Triple Ultimate Slayer. We don't like people going second, putting boards against us without us being able to check that board and then essentially, like, do what Dragon Maid was meant to do, which was summon a bunch of things, go to battle phase, bounce, summon a bunch of bigger things, and swing for a bunch of damage. Unfortunately, we can't do damage if we do Dark Ruler, but it is advantage over damage type thing. And then Slayer, like these are just the best board breakers that are free in the format currently. Triple Mistaken Arrest. This card is so good in this deck, because like I said, you don't lose to Droll, so you're not going to lose to your own Mistaken Arrest, and it doesn't matter that it waits to your to the end of the next player's turn, meaning yours most of the time, because you don't need to search more than once. Once you've done it once, it's kind of all good. You can parlor down your fusion spell and then bounce your fusion spell from the grave to the hand, so you don't need to search it. And then 3 more copies of Droll Unlock, which cost 0 points for some freaking reason, are crazy in this game. So Triple Mistaken Arrest. And then we played Double Twin Twister. Again, the discard is rough, so I don't think I'll be playing this in the future, but the idea was there of just like board breakers that don't cost points. And Twin Twister was the first thing that came up. Card wasn't bad, so I mean it did win me a game too. Or I don't know if it won me a game, but it did out a potentially annoying Dimensional Fissure in one game, which definitely turned the tides for sure. And then Double Spellbound, and this is another interesting card where I'm like hit and miss. It can be very, very strong. It can also be very, very weak. It depends what you're playing against and what your opponent has opened. So it's a fun card for sure. I don't know how to feel about it. I may or may not play it going forward. Like I said, side deck was kind of thrown together last second, so some of these cards are better than others. But the applications do exist for this card to be relevant. It just depends on where you hit it. I never drew it, so it didn't matter. So I can't really tell you how good or bad it could be. But the thought process is there anyways. But guys, let me know if you want like a combo tutorial on like simplistic boards that you can just put up with this deck. Like it's like I could do like a Deck Doctor 101 arguably on Dragon Maid. I was actually really interested with how this performed. I did not think it'd be as consistent as it was, and I was proven wrong, and I'm glad I was proven wrong. And like I said, I have a newer version of this, which is much, much better than this one, I think. And it facilitates some of the Drago Tail cards, the cheaper ones. The deck's not really expensive. And this deck's super, super cheap ever since they reprinted most of it in the latest Battles of Legends. So, like I said, let me know what you think, and see you in the next one.